Hey everybody, Grandmaster Ben Feingold here with recaps from round 4. The last game to finish, Liren versus Fabiano Caruana. Let's have a look at the game. We didn't see a Berlin this game because d4 was played. Shocking. So they played a Ragozin with bishop b4. Liren tried the queen a4 check line, forcing knight c6, e3, castles, queen c2. And now Fabi said, "Excuse me while I whip this out." Everybody screamed and played knight a5. Very rare move, secret illegal preparation from Fabi. If white wants to get an advantage, he has to try for c5. b6 played quickly by Fabi. Bishop d2. Knight c4 played quickly by Fabi. a3. And now this ending is sort of forced, all these trades of pieces. Knight takes d2. Bishop takes c3. And then he played the move a5. He wants to slow down white's queenside advance, and he wants to trade white squared bishops. Now here, if white wants to try to stop the trade of bishops, white should play b4. Therefore, if bishop a6, I can play b5. b4 is probably the best attempt to get an advantage, in my opinion. But he played rook c1, which is very solid. Fabi thought a long time here, played bishop a6, trading the white squared bishops. Misplacing his rook a little bit, but for trading the white squared bishops and getting this equalish type of position, pretty reasonable. Very long think for Fabi here. He played rook a8, which is fine. And in this position, Fabi confused everybody by playing, I don't want to say it's a blunder, but rook c8's definitely a mistake. If he wants to sacrifice his b-pawn, he can simply play queen d7. And then if queen takes b6, rook b8, we're getting our pawn back. This was a much easier way to equalize. Rook c8, he suffered a lot. He lost his b-pawn, which he saw. He played a4, stifling white's play on the queen side. Queen b4. And this was all very reasonable for both sides. White's up a pawn, black's super active. And here, white thought a long time and played a4. Queen c4, the queen trade is forced. And here, white can try to win with f3, takes, rook a8, rook b1. And white gets this pawn up endgame with the doubled pawn. So almost certainly a draw. But he tried to win the same endgame another way. Instead of f3, he played knight c5. And after rook a8, all the games were going on, and they all finished before Ding moved. Ding thought like 45 minutes here. In the interim, the other 3 games finished. Amazing. And the question was rook a1 or rook b1. The engine slightly preferred rook b1, which is what he played. If he plays rook a1, the king goes to f8. The kings are running over here, running and running and running. And black gets to go here in time, and this is simply a draw. If you check, I just go back. If you do nothing, I can take, and this king and pawn ending is a draw. Pretty easy draw too. So instead of doing that, he played rook b1, which is a better winning chance. You can't take on a4 because of rook mate. So king f8, threatening rook takes a4. Rook b4. c3, rook c4. Okay, now we have to play c2, otherwise the king just rounds up the c-pawn. This trades the c-pawn for the a-pawn, and now the king and the rook are going to round up this c-pawn here. So before he does that, white activates his rook. Rook to the 8th, rook there, and Fabi didn't mind losing his kingside pawn because this 4 against 3 is really drawn. f5 is excellent, making sure white never gets a passed pawn. And Ding didn't try too hard to win here. Tried a little bit. g5 trading more pawns. And there's just no pawns on the board. 2 against 1, easy draw. And Fabi made one accurate move in this position coming up. After f5, instead of taking on f5, king f5, which isn't easy to draw. It's easy for Fabi to draw. It's not easy for a low-rated player to draw. He played rook check first, rook check, and then took. Now if you take the pawn, rook here check is just a really easy draw. There's just nothing white can do. So instead they repeated moves like this, but okay. And the game ended in a draw. Very nice defense by Fabi. Probably unnecessary that he played rook c8, but it seemed like he was never losing, so he took a slightly worse position and he made it sort of hard on himself, but ended up drawing comfortably in the end. So last game to finish, obviously. The game went 64 moves. That's a good chess number. And that's the end of the day for us. I hope you enjoyed watching the recaps from round 4 here on YouTube. Watch for recaps every round. You can also watch live at twitch.tv/GM Benjamin Feingold. This is Grandmaster Ben Feingold. See you with more recaps and with more live coverage of the 2022 candidates. Bye, everybody.